you will share your experience on pathways with us. You have 1 to 2 minutes, and I would like to ask our timer, George, to show us his cute devices, how he will indicate the times for us. This will be at 1 minute. This will be at 1 minute and 30. And the red paper indicates that you are at 2 minutes and you should find an end of your speech. So I'm very happy to ask all the experienced people here to share what they think about pathways. So first of all, we heard so much about Emperor Mandarin. I would like to ask Zaldi to come on screen and tell us which experience he has made with pathways and which path you have chosen.
Just change my screen. Oops. Okay. I chose two paths, team collaboration and effective coaching. Effective coaching because it came out of my assessment, and team collaboration because I thought that was needed in my work, especially I might be working with remote teams in my next projects. So in my pathways journey, as many of you know, I'm the techie guy here, and it's known all over, also in my district. So I'm in my journey, I was more of a mentor to all the rest, even though I was not an officially a pathways guide. So I didn't have to visit the clubs. All I do is communicate here online, and many of the members here in our district still don't use this platform called Zoom. So either I have to use uh, Facebook Messenger or Viber to communicate. And one of the most useful approaches to communicate uh, using for pathways is screenshots. So I do a lot of screenshots. Like with Suda, I showed every step of the way the payment process. For those who don't know how to navigate Basecamp, I also show them the screen by screen, play by play account of how to do what they want to do. So it's a great experience here in doing pathways. And what I love about pathways, which I still have to get to that level for, is working on the digital projects. It's because these are new projects where you have an audience, where you don't really speak in front, but you do have an audience. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Zaldi, for your wonderful insights. Now you have a person you can turn to. You learned he's a techie person and he will help you easily with his slideshows and screenshots. Now I would like to ask Elizabeth on screen and ask her what the first reaction was about pathways when you first heard of it.
My first reaction is extremely positive. I was very struck by, I've been following George on line for many months, and Julie and so on, and I think I'm absolutely going to love pathways. I've met Sudha, so I know her enthusiasm about everything. So I would say my first impressions are very positive. The one thing I wasn't so clear about are how ordinary members respond to pathways. I sense that Julie, George, Sudha are all enthusiasts, and I can understand that, but I would love to get a better feeling for how the average Toastmaster responds to pathways, and also what training is provided to them. I got my DTM a few months ago, but I am desperately waiting for Pathways, because as soon as it comes to our region, I intend to start Pathways. And that's why I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning to listen to what is being said. But to summarize, I'm very, very positive about everything I've heard this morning. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That's wonderful to hear. And you also heard how you can already now join Pathways in another district, if you like. My next question would be, as Elizabeth already said, she was pleased what you heard today. For the next person, what were your thoughts when you first heard of Pathways, and how did it change from today's session? And there I would like to ask Bruce. What, Bruce? Ruth.
Sorry?
Ruth, the lady.
Sorry, okay. Sorry.
But we can't hear you. I have another question for you, Bruce, especially for you. Ruth, could you please turn on your audio? It is a little, beside the video camera, there is a little button on the left, and there you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Can you hear me now?
That's it, yes.
Okay. Tell me.
What was your first expression when you heard about Pathways, and how was it changed from what you heard today?
Where I live in Curacao. We're not on Pathways yet. This is the second meeting that I have with you guys, and it sounds interesting. And I'm wondering, I have to redo all my projects in Toastmaster. I'm wondering if it's worthwhile or wait, the Pathway comes our way, because apparently it's different and it sounds interesting and great. So I look forward to when it comes to Curacao.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear later on how you found it when it rolled out at your place. Now I would like to know, what is the most helpful resource, if there are any questions, or besides that? This could be a tool, it could also be a person, and I would like to ask Graham this question.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just, yes, my microphone is now working. Can I ask if you could just repeat that question, please, Michelle? I'm sorry, my next door neighbour has started mowing my lawn.
Sure. What's the most helpful resource if you have any questions on Pathway? It could be a tool, or it could also be a person. What would you recommend?
Look, like Zaldi, I am the go-to person for District 69's Pathways guides. I have been appointed as a Pathways guide, but really all I'm doing is providing tech assistance. Quite frankly, the best available assistance would be to go to Pathways on the Toastmasters website, or, for that matter, to go to Facebook. There is an enormous amount of information becoming available to members around the world. Now, there are, and I suspect that many of the people who are here in this room today, virtual room, have either signed up for or are at the very least watching some of those Facebook groups discussing Pathways. There's an enormous amount of information which is coming out there, and if nothing else, I would encourage members, new members, existing members, members who really don't want to have anything to do with Pathways, to talk to those who are actually actively involved in the process. I joined a North American club so that I could start Pathways. I actually chose the wrong club, quite frankly. It only meets once a month, and so I've, in the 6 months that I've been a member, only been able to give my icebreaker. But I found an awful lot of information from that club, and I'm finding even more, as I say, from particularly Facebook and other social media. If you know of somebody who knows information, pick their brains. People like George are amazing in being willing to offer assistance, even if you are annoying them at times and suggesting that they're not members of your club, which they are, and I do apologise for that, George.
Thank you very much, Graham, for all those insights and presenting in such an entertaining way. My next question is going to Bruce, because he already wanted to jump to the screen, and I would like to hear something of you. As we already heard just currently from Graham, there are some Facebook groups, and I saw that you also applied for one according to Pathways. What did you find there, or what are you hoping to find there?
Wow. Well, I have a lot of resources that I'm using as well as Facebook. In fact, two of them are sitting right here. I don't know what I would do without Julie and in fact, a lot of the other members here. On the Facebook, I don't quite know what. I haven't really been on it for that long, as you know. So I'm not really sure what I am expecting to find, but I've got so many questions. We, in our district, we haven't started with Pathways yet. And there are a lot of members that are in a position where when it comes online, they're not sure whether to speed them up. And a lot of the VPs in the clubs that I belong to are not sure whether to push people to complete so that they can start Pathways immediately. The people that are busy with the CC program in particular. So we've got lots of questions, and I'm like one of those people who like to be prepared for things so that when it eventually happens here, I've got answers for everyone and we can do things well. Everything that I hear about Pathways makes me more and more excited about it. I'm one of those who does believe that it is a really exciting thing that's happened in Toastmasters, and I was very interested in Julie's presentation this morning and the whole discussion. It just everything I hear about Pathways confirms what I think about it, and I'm looking forward to finding out a lot on the Facebook page. I'm not normally don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, but with this one, I think I'm going to follow things a little bit, try and keep up to speed, and so that I can help all of the members around me when eventually it comes time. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Bruce. I really appreciate that you want to be prepared for everything and use different resources to find out all the information you would like to have and present them later on to people who need them. That's wonderful. And looking for that, for help and for finding a club especially, I would like to ask Jimmy Dent on screen. And could you tell us how you find a Pathway club, or how would you look for a Pathways club? What can you recommend?
Well, my district's not in Pathways yet. And I'd probably do like what other people have done. I'd seek out a club in another district that's already on Pathways. It allows online attendance, and inquire there about joining that club so I can get on to Pathways. I considered doing that myself, but I decided to hold off and wait, since I'm still working on some advanced communicator and advanced leadership awards, even though I have 2 DTMs. One of the exciting things I've discovered is I'm an ambassador, and our district is going to have Pathways rolled out in February. I've given the first presentation to all my clubs. I have not encountered any negativity as far as accepting Pathways, except for the only negativity I've heard is, why do we have to wait so long? Even new members that have joined maybe just 1 or 2 weeks ago aren't negative. They're not questioning, well, gee, I got to start this and I'm going to lose credit. They're more or less asking questions just exactly how they do the transition. What's their choices? So even they seem eager. One of the biggest surprises I got from some of the experienced Toastmasters is, yay, they're getting rid of the CO manual. And that's surprised how much that was. It seems to be that there's more people hate the CL manual than I thought. I kind of like it because it's one of the easiest things to do. You just do the roles and check them off and help with special projects and get it signed off. It's not difficult. I've already picked my paths already. I went through and analyzed. I'm going to do effective coaching and motivational strategies. And that's part of what I tell people when I give the ambassador presentation. I explain to them why I picked those two. One of the things a lot of people also like is they can complete paths without doing the club officer, district officer, and club coaching aspects. So that's my story.
Thank you very much, Jimmy, for sharing your story and letting us know how you're doing it and which paths you're taking. It's very interesting for all of us to find out who are on which paths and to maybe also contact them to learn what is in this path, to learn it and speak to really a person from it. And now I would like to know your advice to those who are still meddling but want to start to pathway. And I would like to ask this Paul White.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Wonderful. So please repeat the question.
What is your advice to those who are still meddling but they want to start pathways?
I think we just heard it in this panel. The excitement of people who have joined Pathways is really contagious. And what I tell everyone is just stop listening to everything and engage the program. If you're in a district where Pathways has already rolled out and you're working on other things, just open Pathways and give it a try. Because I tell everyone, if you engage with Pathways, you'll fall in love with it. That's certainly true for me and everyone that I know. And as I watch this panel and all of the people here and I see the enthusiasm for Pathways, I just can't help but feel, don't sit on the fence. Give it a try. What I most like about it is it has changed the way I look at Toastmasters. Before, I was basically doing service, really enjoying mentoring and coaching and moving away from speaking because speaking had become very routine. And with Pathways, it's like taking a new trail in a forest. And every time you round a curve in the trail, you find something new. And with Pathways, I'm still discovering new things. And I love that feeling of being on a voyage of discovery and exploration. So my advice to anyone is to just give it a try. Just try level 1 and level 2, and I almost guarantee you, you will be hooked on Pathways. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Paul, for this wonderful speech and encouraging us to jump on this. And my last question is to Fabiola, and I would like to know what your impressions are about Pathways and how it was changed from today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Actually, since 2013, I became an ambassador for the rep. And since then, I got excited with what by then we got to know about Pathways. By then it was called rep. And now, lately in August, I became the chief ambassador for my district. And before that, I became a member of an online club in District 27 that allows online attendance. But unfortunately, with all the other things that I'm doing, didn't get my first level because I couldn't get into it with all the other things. But I'm still excited about that. And that's why I'm on today at 1 a.m. for me. Now it's about 2 a.m. that I get, every time I get to hear something about Pathways, I do get want to get more information because I want to share it with all the members in my district so they too can see the benefit of pathways. I have heard today a lot how pathways is more um, geared towards your self-development. It's more interactive. It's more up to date, and you get more out of it than with the current program. So today's meeting only reinforces what I'm thinking about Pathway and my enthusiasms about Pathway. Back to you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much for your insights, and also I really appreciate that you stayed up till 2 o'clock in the night. With that, I would like to close and thank everybody who took part in Table Topic session and shared the experiences, their desires, their needs, and what they are wishing from Pathways. And I think there is an era coming up that will bring lots of new things for us which we can explore. And we should just jump in and have fun. So back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mattel. Very interesting question and nicely directed to the different people who had the skills to answer those particular questions. I've got to give kudos to Julie. I was stuck on my first level. I couldn't get anywhere. I was talking to the people in the headquarters. But Julie said one day, come online. We got together on a Zoom session, and she prompted me through the session so that I knew how to get going. And my project that I ended with, which was an HPL project within Pathways, so that has not gone out the window, was to put on that event from the international conference and to the online members. Always in Toastmasters, it's the feedback that gives us the strength. And we have one of the best evaluators that I know in Paul White to give us a general evaluation of our meeting. Paul. Oh, can't hear you.
I can't unmute him.
How about now?
Fine.
Good. I'm almost blind, so I have great trouble finding those icons. So let's start the general evaluation with a timer's report, George, on Carol's speech. Carol's
you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Good. Carol's time was at 3 minutes, 26 seconds tonight. Very well done. Within, slightly over time, but within the limit.
Good. Thank you. Carol, your evaluation was really superb. I really like evaluations that cover positives, and you had lots of details on the positives. I also like evaluations that have areas for improvement, and you did that, and you went the one step beyond that because you also told the speaker not only what they could improve on, but how. You did that in a number of ways. You said you should certainly try to tell people what you're going to tell them and then tell them after you've told them. That's a standard thing that we say a lot, but we need to remember that. But you also talked about having an awareness of the impact on the audience. And you specifically said, look out at the audience and see who's smiling. Very good advice. So wonderful evaluation. I caught part of the panel presentation. For some reason, my computer froze up today. I apologize for being late. But on the, what I call the Power Pathways panel, it was really wonderful. Everyone was so enthusiastic. George is sort of the international face of Pathways. Julie is a consummate Pathways, I call Pathways junkie, who even blogs to the world about Pathways. And of course, Michelle always brings her ambassador guide, love for training, to the fore. And that's a real key to having a successful rollout. So the moderator, George, had some really carefully orchestrated questions, insightful questions that led everyone right along to a wonderful presentation, and the panelists themselves were very well prepared, very energetic, and of course, very motivational. That's what it's all about at the beginning. I think that this panel encouraged many people who are just getting started to continue with more enthusiasm, and also those people who are still sitting on the fence, you gave them some reasons to think about joining Pathways with lots of passion. And I love the comment, don't push, but just try to get engaged. I hope this panel recording will be shared very widely. Toastmaster of the Day, Brian, you did what Toastmasters do. You kept everything moving along, and with the help of the timer, that certainly worked. You kept everything flowing in good measure. So my evaluation of the meeting is when I learn something, when I enjoy something, and when I feel challenged to do something in a meeting, it's a really great meeting, and I certainly felt that way today. Kudos to WSO for the meeting and for the table topics master, Mathilde. What a smile, and what wonderful questions directed exactly to the person who had an answer. I love table topics when they allow the table topic speaker to shine, and that's what you did today. So all in all, a really wonderful meeting. What I like to say about these virtual clubs, the online clubs, is that they put the I in Toastmasters International. That's what you did. Thank you very much for a really, really wonderful meeting. And with that, I will turn control back to the Toastmaster of the Day, Brian.
Thank you, Paul. Now, Michelle has asked me to introduce the guests that have come to the meeting. I would ask for a little help from Misako, because I'm not sure who all the guests are, but I will go down the list of names that I'm not used to seeing in the meeting. So I will ask Ajit first what she thought of the meeting today.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am part of West Hearts Speakers Club in St. Albans, UK. And this was my first random visit to the Pathways Club, online club. And I just bumped into some of the Facebook messages from Sudha. And then I knew that there is something going on here. So I put alarm in my phone to wake up at 5:30 to attend the meeting. And I enjoyed the meeting. So I will be a regular visitor, and hopefully I will start as a member as well. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll ask, is Haida, is that how the way you say it? Is Haida?
Is she there?
She's there.
I think it's a Ishida.
Ishida. Oh,
Oh,
I think.
okay.
Just checked the meeting information of the Facebook the few hours ago, and thank having me today. And I belong to the District 76, Japan. Will be inducted the Pathways next March. So very interesting today's meeting. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
And Brian, I have posted on our chat, but for those who are not looking at the chat, guests, can you please, if you can put your email address on the chat so that we can include you in our invitations in the future? Because I know some of you just randomly came across and we might not be able to reach you for subsequent meetings. We do meet on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays or Wednesdays, depending on where you are, but it's 2nd and 4th, same time as this. Thank you, Brian.
Shall we? I know there are guests of our club in here. Shall I continue with them? Tracy.
I used to belong to a club in Perth, Western Australia, and I used to meet there weekly, but I've now moved to New South Wales, and my nearest Toastmasters is 200 kilometres away. So I'm now looking for an online club which I can join, and I can continue with my Toastmasters journey. I had some internet connection problems today, which meant at the beginning I couldn't get online, and then I lost transmission halfway through. And I can see that it was a lot to do with Pathways today, which my club or old club has not rolled out. But I'm looking to join a club which suits me time-wise, which this one does. And I thank you for allowing me to be a guest.
Thank you.
I am working on a list that will list the clubs that are in Pathways. The Toastmasters made a change at my request at the conference there, so it's possible to search out an online club that's in the Pathways program now. And the way you do it is you pick the time zone and pick the big city there, and it will give you a list of those clubs that are in Pathways, like San Francisco, and you can go out 150 miles and find all the clubs that are in there. Or Portland in Oregon. They're in the Pathways program now.
So Brian, I would like, just in the interest of time, because we know that we in Toastmasters, we want to manage our time. We now have just 4 minutes left. May I make this congratulations to you for having done a wonderful job as Toastmaster, and everybody unmute yourself so we can have on record your applause for our awesome Toastmaster of the day. Yay. Thank you so much, Brian. And let me just take it over from here, because I think we still have a few more. Oh, we have Kevin, and we have, I think, a couple more. So Kevin.
Elizabeth.
Sorry?
Elizabeth is also there. She's a guest.
Yes, that's right. She has given us a table topics, though. So I would like to hear from those who have been with us but have not had any opportunity yet. Kevin, would you like to unmute yourself and tell us very quickly about what you caught of the meeting, maybe, and your impressions as well?
All good fun. I was around when the Pathways used to be called REP, the Revitalised Education Programme, so I watch with keenness what George has managed to do and push through in his district and what's moving forward. So it's great to hear from those that are more advanced than the greater proponents. I'm a big fan of online clubs. I think it is the way forward, and now that Pathways is particularly embracing technology as a whole, I think it's definitely the right thing to be doing to make it much more relevant to the day.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. And are you currently a member of an online club?
A couple, and I'm also in the process of trying to start one.
Okay, and do visit us again. You know our schedule here, and we would love to have you. Ruth, I think, Ruth, were you on the table topics a while ago, or?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So let us move. Is there anybody else who has been with us? Oh, Peter, I think Peter is here. Yes, Peter, are you still on? Please unmute yourself. Peter is actually a charter member, and hopefully he will be a comebacking member, hopefully. But Peter, let us hear from you.
Yes, hello everybody. Now, regarding the membership of this club, well, in my part, the meeting starts around 8 a.m. and on Thursdays I'm usually at work at that hour, but c'est la vie. Today I'm going to work later, so I was able to participate. This was a very useful session for me, as as my part of the world is not on pathways yet. To my understanding, we will be pathwayed in March next year, and I will join a club that is on pathways already, a club accepting online presence, that is. I learned a lot today. Thank you very much. Thank you, George. Thank you, panel member. Thank you, table topic speaker. You all gave something to all of us. I have been very interested in things way before it was even called pathways. I was on my ambassador's tale already when it was called this revitalized something, what it was. But thank you very much indeed. Very useful to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. And I have just quickly glanced down at all the guests on the chat list, either as table topics or in other ways. I believe everybody has had the opportunity to speak, and it is now exactly half hour. I know that everybody still wants to chat, and yes, we can all stay on and chat, but just because we are Toastmasters, I want to walk our talk. I want to manage our time. And for those who have other appointments, who have to leave right after we adjourn the meeting, we understand and enjoy your day, your evening, your afternoon, or wherever you are. For those who haven't had enough of Witty Storytellers Online because we're such a wonderful group, please stay on after we adjourn. I also want to thank George Marshall for organizing the panel, being such an amazing guide and pioneer. Let's all give George a really big hand. And of course, the other George, who was really busy. It's hard to be a timer. It's one of the most thankless jobs. And we also want to give thanks to George, the other George Heck, for being our timer. Let's give George a big hand. And of course, we even had a backup timer. So we are such a wonderful group. I would now like to officially adjourn the meeting, and then the recording will stop and the recording will start